Hey everybody, welcome back to the practice video. This is the time where we get together with our small groups, our community groups. We talk about the things that we're learning here, the things that God is teaching us, the things that we're talking about on Sundays at church. And we try to take them deeper so that we can put them into practice. Today is a sad day for all of you because it is only me on the video today. And that is disappointing for most people, me probably at the top of the list. So Tracy has jury duty today, and just with our schedule and the way that it worked out, this is it. You got me. But hopefully we will still be able to spend some good time together today and talk about some things that will actually be helpful to us. So, this is Holy Week, and we actually had some really great plans that didn't work out for various reasons, but I'm excited about 2024, about putting some really cool spiritual enrichment plans into place for Holy Week to make this a really significant time for us next year. But I also don't want us to miss what's going on this year. And as we're looking at, Easter coming up this coming Sunday, and we're considering the spiritual implications of that. I mean, I know that all of us have busy lives, and you got jobs that you're going to, and some, like my daughter's on spring break this week, and so there's a lot of things happening. But at the same time, I don't want any of us to miss the opportunity to really reflect on the beauty of the story of Jesus. And so, we're headed into Holy Week. There's so many great ways for you to really experience it and take it deeper. And I want to encourage you to do that. I found a great reading plan that the Bible Project put together, but it's on the YouVersion app. And so they've got daily readings and then videos that the Bible Project has made that go along with it just to help you understand different things. That's been really cool to me. There's a lot of different ways that you can, go through and study what were the things that Jesus was doing on this particular day during the week leading up to the crucifixion and resurrection. And it's a great way just to put yourself into that story. As we head into this week, we're Friday night, we're going to have a Good Friday service where we're going to come together and really consider and think about what that was like and commemorate the crucifixion and the significance of that and what that meant, not only for the disciples then, but what it means for us now, today in 2023. And just the spiritual lessons that we can get from that, and even that day of silence in between the crucifixion and the resurrection, and what does that bring to mind for us? We're going to be able to, spend some time in prayer, spend some time singing to God, and spend some time really reflecting on that. So that'll be Friday night at the building. So I want to encourage you to come for that. Then Sunday, of course, we're going to have our 7 a.m. Sunrise service at Salt Creek Beach. I'm very excited to be there with all of us this year. I know several of our small groups have actually opted to have their own Easter service together, a brunch together or a lunch together so that they can celebrate. Other small groups, everyone's coming down to Salt Creek Beach. And for those of you that are not in a small group, I want to encourage you to come to Salt Creek Beach. This is a great time to get connected with a group, because within the South, we're going to be moving more and more towards, our primary spiritual identity and connection is going to be within our small groups. So if you're not connected with a small group, you're going to be missing out on a lot of the things that we're doing in the South, and a lot of the ways that God is really helping us and teaching us. Everything we do within the South is going to be focused on and coming through our small groups. And so I just want to encourage those of you who are maybe in between groups right now, let's take some steps towards that and towards finding a great connection with a group that you can connect with. But this Sunday, when we are at Salt Creek Beach, right after our service, Haley Thomas is going to be organizing an Easter egg hunt for those of you that have kids that are of the age that would like to do that. And so you can connect with Haley about that, and if you want, you can bring some eggs for your kids to have as well, or a donation, or if that doesn't work out, just come and participate, and it'll be great. So, but the details of all of those things are on the Weekly Wave, so that you can see that stuff coming up. Also, just as a quick reminder, for families in that age group. We have solidified our date for our Vacation Bible School, and it's going to be a family-style Vacation Bible School like we did last year, where the whole family comes in the evening after work and has time together there, and it's a really special time. It's really great. But I really want the whole South to be able to support this, and for this to be a great time for us to reach out to people and help bring them into what we're doing in the South. So the summer's going to be a lot of fun. We have some plans that we're talking about and discussing. We'll be able to let you know about some of those things soon, but in the meantime, you can just be praying about that. But right now, we get to settle into this Holy Week as we're leading up to celebrating Easter and celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. And so I wanted us to spend a little bit of time today in John chapter 13. I was thinking, just thinking about the message yesterday and talking about the Passover meal and the connections with that, and thinking all the way back to the significance of the celebration of Passover. And so this moment, this incredible moment when God heard the cries of his people that were in slavery in Egypt, and he sent Moses, and he came down to rescue them, and he brought them out of slavery. And then in that night, in that moment where where the angel of the Lord was coming through Egypt, and God was really coming to protect his people. And so it's this celebration of God being our rescuer and our protector, and the God who bends down to help us in our time of need. The God who attends to our cries, and then the God who invites us into this participation with him, into the freedom that he's wanting to bring us into. And so there's the idea of the killing of the Passover lamb, and then taking the blood of that lamb and putting it over the door frame of the house, which indicates, the debt here has been paid, the blood here has been spilled, and then now life can come from that. Because of this blood that has been spilled by this lamb, now these people can have life, and they are able to live. And so it's a beautiful picture of that. And then so I think about that then as Jesus is sitting down to celebrate the Passover meal. This is like a normal annual celebration for all of the Jewish people. And Jesus is sitting down to celebrate that, but knowing in his mind, understanding fully and clearly what is about to happen, that he is going to become that Passover lamb who, by the shedding of his own blood, is going to provide life for all of us. And so the weight of that, him understanding that this is what is coming, and him going through that, now they have this Passover meal full of symbolic significance, and he's seeing all of these things coming together and understanding what is happening, and even if his disciples aren't quite getting it, and it doesn't really make sense to them yet, and they're not fully understanding it all, but all of that comes in time for them. But in this moment, I'm sure he must have felt just so alone. And he's heading into this like, do I really have to do it this way? And we know from his time in the garden after the Passover meal that he's, asking God, is there another way that we can do this? Is there a way around this? But in that Passover meal, that must have been such a really bittersweet moment for him. And I spent some time this morning in John chapter 13, and I just feel like that this chapter, the beginning part of this chapter, the first 17 verses, are so full of emotional weight. And I really want to encourage you in your small groups, or even in your own time with God, just to spend some time in these 17 verses and really imagine the emotional backdrop that Jesus had as he was kind of going through this. And they're having this meal, but he's trying to communicate something bigger and deeper for them. And so there's several things that I wanted us to look at today. So in verse 1, it says, "It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and to go to the Father. And having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end." So just let that sentence kind of rattle around in your brain and your heart for a minute. That having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. Like he's figuring out, like, okay, he knows that it's almost over, the time is almost up. And so he wanted to love his people, love his disciples in a special way to the very end. And so then we have the beautiful picture of him getting up and starting to wash his disciples' feet. And, there's the resistance, are you going to wash my feet? No, you can't wash my feet. I need to wash your feet. And Jesus is trying to say, no, this is important for me to do this. And so there's a little bit of a distraction as Peter's trying to figure out, okay, wait, then can it be my whole body? And Jesus is like, okay, that part is not the point. There's a bigger point here that I want you to get. But this is his way of communicating his love for his disciples. And it says in verse 12, when he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. Do you understand what I've done for you? He asked them. You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. What a beautiful sentiment. That in this moment, Jesus, with the weight of all that is about to happen, he's like, I want you to get this, that me, as your teacher and your Lord, and that is who I am. But I'm taking this time to show you the extent of my love. I'm taking this time to express to you how much I love you, and I'm showing you how I want you to love one another. I'm going to go out of my way to honor you and to serve you. And now this is the example that I'm leaving for you, that I want you to honor one another and serve one another. It's a high calling for us as followers of Jesus to live our life in such a way that we are willing to honor others and serve others. If there's somebody that we really love, somebody that has done a lot for us, it's easy for us to want to show them honor and spend time with them and go out of our way to help them. But even in this situation, these were people who weren't there with Jesus emotionally in the moment. He'd been trying to teach them, but he had to go out of his way, move past his own emotional discomfort to get to a place where he could serve them. And this, I think, rather than us immediately jumping to, so that's what I have to do as a disciple. I have to now go and I have to deny myself and do all this for everybody. Instead, I want us to stop and insert something into that thought process. And what I want us to insert into that thought process is this: that what we see here is the heart of God. And we get to see the extent of a godly love expressing itself in human form. We get to see God himself as a human saying, this is how I want you to love one another. I want you to serve one another in this way. I want you to go beyond what you think is appropriate according to social norms, or the people that you really like in your family group, or the people that you can get along with, or the people that you agree with about issues in the world, politics, things like that. I want you to go beyond that, and I want you to look for someone who you can love and someone who you can serve. See, this is God's heart, is going beyond his own comfort so that he can love and so that he can serve. This is God himself saying, I will become the Passover lamb. I will become the one who will shed my own blood so that you can have life. This is the God who says, I want you to see this because this is what the kingdom is really supposed to look like. Is this type of a love that we're going to give, not considering our own maybe inclinations in the moment, or my own safety in the moment, or what makes sense to me, but I'm going to go beyond that so that I can love someone else and serve someone else. So as we're coming up to celebrating the resurrection this weekend, I want to encourage us in the South to really spend some time thinking about this and contemplating, what does it mean to really love the way that Jesus loved? And how can I do that this week? I want you to think about the people in your small group. I want you to think about, how can you serve someone else in your small group? And are you busy? Yes, absolutely. But can you take the time to serve them also? Yes, I believe that you can. Is there a way? Like, what can you do? Don't let the immediate excuses that come to mind get in the way of what the Spirit could be prompting you to do in terms of really loving one another and serving one another. You know, as we try to develop the expression, the reflection of God's perfection here within the relationships that we have and within the kingdom that we have, as we're trying to do that, we can grow. You know, we have to be able to grow more and more in our love for one another and our grace for one another and our ability to serve one another in this way. So I'm going to be praying for all of us as we go into this week, and just want to leave you with this in verse 17, where Jesus says, "Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." I just want to encourage you with that this is Jesus first. He shows us, he gives us this example of loving and serving, and he reminds us, this is how I want you to live. But then he's like, and just as a final thought here, your life is actually going to be better. If you live this way, your life is going to be better. That's the thing about following Jesus. When we follow Jesus, life starts to work better, because that's the way that we were designed to live. So if you do these things, now that you know them, if you do these things, you will be blessed. So that's what I'm praying for. I'm praying for blessings for all of us. I'm praying for great love within our relationships within the South. I'm praying for forgiveness for one another, because that's who Jesus was. That's what he was offering to us, and then that's what we want to offer to one another. I'm praying for grace to be overflowing among us in all of our relationships. And I'm just praying for a deeper relationship with God and a deeper love for God as we spend this time celebrating the resurrection. So hope you guys have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday night.